Welcome to a special edition of the Boat Boss. We are welcoming 2022 with Ken Clinton, President of Intrepid Powerboats. Welcome, Ken, to the show.
Hey, Kim, nice to be with you again.
Awesome. It's really early in the morning. Actually, I'm getting to the office earlier these days because my son is driving himself to school. So I love it. And you get to the office pretty early yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm usually sitting at my desk at 5:30 every morning. So I get up around 4 because I live in Odessa. So it's about a 40-minute drive. So yeah, I'm an early bird for sure.
Well, good for you. And it shows the success is a result of it. Well, we're welcoming 2022. Obviously, the boat business is doing great, but there's something that a lot of people aren't aware of, and that's a luxury tax that is actually in front of the Canadian government right now. They've recommended that they tax airplanes, boats, cars, luxury items above $100,000 for cars, and for boats specifically, as it pertains to us, $250,000. Anything over that price tag will be taxed 10% of the gross sales price. And I know you actually come from that background. You know, you've been in the business 30 years. You've gone through many luxury tax situations, and I wanted the public to hear from somebody that actually has gone through it and what are the ramifications of something like this passing. So I'm going to give the microphone to you, Ken, and why don't you take it away and tell us exactly what you've experienced in the past.
Sure. You know, I look back at this, I'm a big buff on history and cause and effect. And this 10% tax that they're talking about is something that was done back in 1990. It was implemented in 91. Ironically, if you look at history, it destroyed our industry at the time. When you look at 10%, $1 million boat, $100,000 being added to it, just to keep that in perspective, in 1991, when you look at inflation and you calculate what $100,000 was then, and you calculate 31 years of inflation, that's $204,000 today. So it's real money. You know, it's definitely a lot of money. And when they passed that, what happened was the automatic response from the public was, okay, I'm not going to buy new boats anymore. We'll buy used boats. We will buy boats from overseas. And at the time, I was working at a company called Triumph Yachts over in Tampa, and they were owned by Genmar. And Genmar also owned Wellcraft. So what happened was our orders completely stopped. They laid every worker off except for a handful of us managers, because I was an MEP lead person at the time. And they consolidated and they took the operation to Sarasota, and they put us with Wellcraft. At the same time, Viking had a plant with 800 employees here in St. Petersburg, and they went through the same thing, and they had to consolidate, and they moved up to New Jersey. So then what happened was, at the time, Intrepid was owned by a Japanese gentleman named Yoshiro Katami, and he realized that the big Viking plant that was empty would be a great place to move Intrepid to. So they moved Intrepid there because they also knew there was 800 craftsmen there at the time. Then I joined Intrepid at that time, and we were able to use the labor that was local. But the luxury tax, getting back to that, you know, when you look at the math that was done on that and they look back on it, 19,000 jobs were lost in just the marine industry, blue collar. There was 50,000 jobs lost overall when you start talking about airplanes and automobiles. When you also then calculate that they only brought in $12,600,000 in luxury tax, there was a $30 million deficit just in the marine industry alone. If you look at the math on it, it is the most upside down thing that you could even consider doing. And then for this to come back up is crazy to me.
Yeah, you know, there was actually something I read yesterday that a $500,000 boat purchase pumps $40,000 into the local economy where it resides, where it docks, where it lives. And that's a powerful statistic. When you hear that, it's not just us in the boat business and the industry in Canada and here in the States, but it's also the local economy that's going to have a major impact.
Yeah, and the other thing that happened during that time is there was many boat builders that completely went out of business. They went out of business, they lost their homes, the bank came and got their tooling. And in some cases, that tooling got sold to businesses in South America, where then they started building the boats in South America, and people were able to buy the boat without the luxury tax. So it just took away American jobs and hurt the American economy. So there's nothing good that comes from it whatsoever. And luckily, we have people like the NMMA fighting to make sure that this doesn't happen again, because, you know, there's another generation now that may have not even seen what happened back in 1990, you know, in 91.
Yeah.
And somebody has to bring it to light.
And they've done a great job, both National Marine Manufacturers of America, obviously, and then of Canada. They're both doing an outstanding job. Hats off to them. But, you know, in Canada right now, the boating course is actually up 73%. So these are probably first-time boaters that are actually out there, you know, getting trained and doing what they need to do to keep safe on the water. We do not want to prevent that. We want to keep that going. We want to keep that statistic going up and up. And this is the luxury tax might most definitely hurt new boaters and boaters in general. So Ken, anything else you want to add to before we sign off?
No, I think just the biggest thing is to make sure that people look back on history. You know, when you look at cause and effect, the cause being the luxury tax and the effect being a devastation to the economy and to unemployment and how the numbers were driven up, it's a no-brainer that it does make sense.
I'd like to also give tribute to Trade Only and all the other Marine Retailers Association and all the local people in each one of the you know, areas of our business that are really hitting the pavement, doing whatever they can to get the word out. What we're challenging our network to do here is to take this and share it with anyone that you know in Canada that owns a business, or that's a politician, or anyone that can obviously impact this decision, because we do need to get this word out that this is not good for the marine industry. So Ken, I appreciate your time. I know it's early. I have to get myself to the office now, and I'm sure you got to get back to work. Appreciate it. Have a successful 2022. And I hope we can celebrate this not passing soon.
Sounds good.
All right, take care.
You too.